I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. She's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
A piece of life advice here. Never give up your seat on the bus to an older lady. That's how I lost my first job as a bus driver. So, nice to have you here on The Doctor Is In. You didn't pay for that joke. Well, you did indirectly if you're supporting your local Catholic station and EWTN. This is Look Back Friday. Typically, I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, we use Look Back Friday to go over previous calls that need some elaboration. Now, obviously, it's not therapy, so each of these calls could be a springboard for someone to come in if they wanted to talk at great length of therapy. But usually there's something within the call that can take further explanation. Maybe it's a diagnosis somebody didn't understand. Maybe it's a tangent that I could have asked about, didn't have time because of the call. Or probably the main reason, and this is not all that altruistic. I just want to talk more. It's my show, I get to say more. Actually, I very much appreciate the callers, and they bring up so many good points, and you can only talk about a few of them as they bring them up on the call. And people will say that. They will email me and say, well, Dr. Ray, why didn't you say this? Or you should have added this. I go, yeah. But again, it's not therapy. And this is just something we can talk a little bit about and give some ideas and nuggets. So that's what Look Back Friday's designed to do a little bit more of. The last several weeks has been absolutely fascinating. On Instagram and Facebook, regarding the fans and the players of the International Soccer Tournament, World Cup, is that what it's called? Regarding their reaction to the United States and its people. Relentlessly, there's just been no end to the posts. Virtually all of them surround several themes. One, our experience with America is certainly a lot more positive than what the media in Europe and our politicians and our ruling class tell us about you. By and large, they admit our image over there is more negative than positive. They come here and they can't believe it. The people are friendly. They're outgoing. They're very helpful, at least the people they've been exposed to. Now, you might say that's just something about American soccer fans, but we're not a soccer country. They also are absolutely stunned at our level of material comfort. They can't believe the air conditioning. They don't have air conditioning like us in Europe. 90% of U.S. residences have air conditioning. In Europe, it's 19%. Europe, viewed as kind of the cutting edge of social and life sophistication. Developed countries in Europe. Long histories. Here's this young upstart. Compared to Europe, we're about 3 years old. They can't believe the air conditioning. They can't believe our restaurants. They can't believe our food. Not just the quality of it, at least the tasteful quality of it. the fact that they get free refills. One really, really, really cute post talks about a guy going, I can have 1,000 free refills if I want. They just refill it. Another guy talked about in Europe, if you want water, you have to order it, and it's in a glass that's usually room temperature with maybe one ice cube in it, maybe. In the U.S., they bring a pitcher of ice water, and they put it down, and it's free. And then he was talking, and one was talking about Texas Roadhouse, a very popular restaurant franchise, where they bring you a bag of peanuts or more before you start to eat. He couldn't believe it. They're free. He was stunned. What? I didn't order this. I didn't pay for this. And the server said, no, that's free. It comes with the meal. Then when the server brought the bread, which is tremendous bread, by the way, at Texas Roadhouse, he said, I didn't order bread. No, that's free. It comes with the meal. They're stunned. They're absolutely stunned at our plenty. They can't believe it. One guy went into a Costco. He was completely struck by its size. He said, this store is bigger than my village. One of the recurrent themes from these posts, you Americans had best realize how much you have, how materially good you have it. They can't believe the size of our average home. They don't have homes that size on average, not at all. Our cars, oh my. They are stunned. Relentlessly, they post. There's a lesson in there for us. It is so easy just to adapt and expect and feel entitled to all of this. I'm sitting in a studio that's air conditioned. I go out to my car, and oh boy, it'll take close to 40 seconds for the air conditioning to get going. Oh, but I endure. Then I go home to air conditioning. Just one thing that 80% of them don't have. In Europe, we're not talking an underdeveloped country. It's a reminder, a relentless, potent reminder of what we Americans have and what we've gotten used to and what we take for granted. The phrase is, it's hard to be depressed when you're grateful. It's not totally true, but it is hard to be discontent when you're grateful. It's harder to be depressed when you're grateful. And to be grateful means to recognize just what you have every day. That you live in a sense of, this is what I expect. And the Europeans, or all the folks from all over the world who came here, the Japanese too, they were stunned at what we have. And even more positive, they liked the people here. The people welcomed them. People applauded them. People interacted with them easily. And when they needed help, they got it from any one of Quick Volunteers. We got to know what we got. I'm Dr. Ray.
We'll return after these messages.
Pre-planning your cemetery arrangements is the most loving gift you can give to your family. Resurrection Cemetery in Clinton Township is one of the largest Catholic cemeteries in Michigan, offering many burial, crypt, and cremation options. Featuring incredible Catholic artwork throughout, Resurrection Cemetery's beautifully maintained grounds are second to none. Our compassionate staff makes pre-planning simple. Call 586-412-6244 or visit mtelliott.com/resurrection today.
Hello, fellow pro-lifers. I'm Steve Ray, and I'm looking forward to being your guest speaker at the annual Macomb County Focus on Life Benefit Dinner, September 15th at the Mirage Banquet Center in Clinton Township. For many of you, attending this event is an annual tradition. Why? Because of your commitment to the pro-life movement. So don't wait. Grab your tickets today. I look forward to seeing you there. God bless you.
To register for the Focus on Life dinner, visit AveMariaRadio.net and click events.
Hi, this is Vanessa Denha-Garmo. Sylvan Learning offers personalized one-on-one academic coaching online from home, designed around your child's unique needs and schedule. Strong academic skills today can help create opportunities tomorrow. Higher grades and stronger test scores can open the door to scholarships, top universities, and a brighter future. Visit mysylvancoach.com to learn more about one-on-one coaching online from home. That's mysylvancoach.com.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically owned shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Yeah, I'm picturing some television private eye running along, hopping over, not even bothering to open the door on his little two-seater sport car because you got to get somewhere fast because he just had an insight on the case, who the perp is. This is Dr. Ray here on The Doctor Is In, dispensing a very potent drug, good for your well-being. You can take it through your ears. Dacazin. Now, if you can't afford Dacazin, I can't see how that could be because this doesn't cost you anything. You can get the generic. We've gone off patent. Tricyclinol. Let's look back Friday here. So let's go to our first look back call. Is from Megan. She's 24 and she's struggling with something that many her age struggle with. So you're 24. And you've pretty much been captured by the internet, huh?
Yes. Ironically, it's how I lost my faith and got it back.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I had basically unlimited internet access since I was 10 years old. I got an iPod Touch, had Wi-Fi, and I am very much convinced it altered how my brain developed because I remember being a much better student. I was in public schools, but back then I think they were a lot better. But I remember being a much better student prior to having internet access. I developed diagnosed ADHD and was prescribed uppers, basically. Like I got a low dose of Vyvanse. And basically, I think being on the internet made me not like reading. I've been intentional about trying to force myself to read, even though I naturally don't like it. And I did like it prior to having internet access. And I just want to know, like, what are some practical steps I can take to help fix maybe some of the damage that's been done to my brain, so I'm not just aimlessly trying a bunch of different things? And what do you think could possibly have happened based on your knowledge as a psychologist of how this affects people?
Why were you given unlimited access, Megan?
I got an iPod for either a birthday or as some kind of Christmas present when I was 10, and it had Wi-Fi access, and so I had internet access. I don't really know why besides that.
Your parents didn't stop it?
No.
They didn't see that their little girl was changing in the way she looked at things and lived things?
I mean, I don't know. I just remember when it started out, it started slowly. I didn't become addicted to it overnight. But over time, over a few months, years, I still think I see things differently to this day, even though I'm an adult and I'm very much aware of it now.
What would you say was the worst thing it did to you?
Getting exposed to inappropriate things when I was young, probably.
It ruined your innocence.
Yes, definitely.
Did that translate into behavior that ruined your innocence too?
Not like I never went out, I never did drugs, but it definitely kept me inside more. Like I didn't hang out with friends as much because I'm more of an introverted temperament just naturally, but I had a lot of friendships. I still did maintain friendships even after being exposed to the internet, but it definitely made me become more recluse. And it's something I have to actively fight against now. But yeah, I mean, I never went out and did drugs or anything like that. But
Megan, you are the poster child for the research that is gaining momentum. You said about 10 different things in your own personal experience as it evolved that the research over and over and over is starting to scream. So God bless you for your wonderful insights, because this is not just Megan's opinion or Megan's experience or Dr. Ray's opinion or Dr. Ray's experience. This is just becoming overwhelming in this.
yeah,
I wish I could.
it's kind of crazy. I remember being younger and the world had so much more light in it, in my perception. I don't know if it's a natural part of becoming an adult that the world loses its glimmer just in the way that you see it. But I just remember having such more joy and in my perception of the world prior to the exposure. And it kind of just consumed me. And I haven't paid as much attention to the outside world since having it. And it's just been a thing I've noticed over the past 14 years of having it.
So if you know all this and you've seen what it's done to you, you don't like it, what is, in your opinion, keeping you from going back to it?
I don't necessarily, I've kind of deleted most of my social media. I use it out of necessity because, it's how I keep in touch with everyone. The limited social media I do have, like I use Facebook for marketplace purposes or seeing my grandparents or something, but I've kind of pulled away from it. But I have thought about getting rid of it entirely, but I find myself quite dependent on it just for basic, what seem like necessities. I'm just curious, like from a professional psychological perspective, what are the ways that it kind of interferes with brain development? Not necessarily the outcomes of poor brain development as a result of it, but like the actual mechanism of how it disrupts the brain development.
They're just getting into this now, but there is evidence coming out that, especially among young people, and you categorize, my dear, as a young people. As a matter of fact, anybody under 50 categorizes as a young person to me. That said, it actually shifts kind of your development, your connections, if you will, your ability to critically reason things through, because you're flat out feeding your neurological structure in a certain way. So that said, you're absolutely correct. It does affect your brain neurologically. This is not just a psychological thing. It's neurological. Now, you can undo that. There's no question. Your brain's very plastic. That means it can compensate. So you can do that. Kind of like quitting smoking, If you don't smoke for 30 years, then your lungs are pretty much in the shape that they were before you started smoking. You can do this. It's going to come down to reminding yourself what it did to you. And in a way, maybe getting a little mad about it. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Now I know why I picked that one and why I know that Andrew let it go on as long as he did. Because early on in the call, I said, you just tapped into so many things. And I didn't get all that much chance to talk about them then. I just kind of gave a big umbrella statement about a few things. I'd like to get a little more specific now. I hesitate to use the word, and I'm probably going to go, Andrew, I'm probably going to go past the break on this one because there's just so much to comment on. I hesitate to use the word addicted. It's flung around so much. However, it is now coming out that the algorithms that are used to feed you what appears to be your interests or your inclinations are very, very good. Very good. They are designed to keep you scrolling. They are designed to capture that attentional part of you that isn't just, oh, that's nice. It's craving. You'll want it. And indeed, as Megan kept asking over and over again, is there some kind of neurological reason for some of this? Of course there is. Of course there is. All this stuff alters your brain neurology. Now, that's repetitive. Your cerebral neurology. It does. Because the input and what you focus on forms new connections. It's kind of the way you learn. So that said, I think you could almost make the case that this is a addiction for some people in the stricter sense of the word. Now, I asked, and I was waiting for me to ask this. I did ask it. I didn't chase it. She got an iPod for a gift. Those of you listening, when somebody gives your kid a smartphone or an iPod or something, even a television for their room, ooh, how throwback. You don't have to accept it. Can't tell you the number of parents who have told me, yeah, well, her grandmother got her this, and I know grandma would be really mad if I didn't let her keep it. Wait a minute. Grandma painted you into a corner. She forced you to have to make a decision on the way you want to raise your child and protect her innocence just because grandma doesn't agree. I had one mom tell me that once. This was 20 years ago. Grandma bought the boy a TV for his bedroom. And grandma basically threatened mother and said, you don't let him keep it, you're going to deal with me. Well, then maybe mom be prepared to deal with her. I hope she didn't let him keep it. I don't know. So where were the parents? Did they just accept this? And by the way, they weren't unusual. The average age of getting a device like that is age 9 to 10. So poor Megan was right there in the median age group. So that said, I would have chased. Where were the parents in this? Then she made the observation that my interest in school, my ability to focus in school, my interest in reading that I seemed to have when I was under 10 before I got the device, I saw it go away. Years ago, this had to be 30 years ago, I was listening to a conference by a very high-profile ADHD presenter. And in the conference, he reiterated many times that ADHD is a neurologically based condition that is the tail end of the temperamental continuum. And I raised the question, I forget in what venue I was, I raised the question, is it not possible that we can learn to be more distractible? We can shorten our attention span, our ability to focus. And one of his compatriots called me personally and chastised me up one side and down the other for even suggesting that. This is clearly a neurological condition. None of that affects it. Well, since then, the research has come out. And yes, indeed, not only can it affect it, but it masquerades. As Megan is telling you, I didn't focus as well. And by the way, she was getting older, so she should have been able to focus better. I got way more to say about this. Don't leave me. But right now, I'm very distracted by that music from Dr. Ray. the things I admire so much about my wife. She's very frugal. We had some problem. We had some problem with some insects that kind of got into the house. And she said, do you want me to call an exterminator? I said, well, yeah, honey. But I said, those guys are expensive. Try to keep it within our budget. And she did. I mean, it's just who she is. This is the way she is. The guy showed up, and he was budget. It was a guy with a rolled-up magazine. So, yeah, it didn't cost all that much. I'm breaking one of the rules of my own Look Back Friday. I've carried Megan's call. She was a 24-year-old who, looking back on it, as she first became involved in her device, looking back on it, she saw how it had radically changed her. And it changed her personality. It changed her view of reading. It changed her view socially. It changed her innocence. And it took her away from the faith. And she said, ironically, it was instrumental in bringing her back to the faith. Well, that's good. But as she looks back as a 24-year-old, she said many, many things. And I said in the call, Megan, you are the poster child for some of the risks of unbridled internet access, social media access. And there's so much to say about this, and I want to say more. So I'm going to linger on this call. I'm going to look back a lot longer over my shoulder, and I can break those rules because I make the rules. And the only person who really controls me on this program is Andrew Kruchek, producer man. He controls all the buttons, so he can take me off the air anytime he wants. He can just immediately intrude with some kind of music or drop in. So I got to be careful with him. But other than that, I can break my own self-imposed rules. I want to talk a little bit more about Megan. 24, looking back. She said this: the world lost its glimmer. Some weeks back, we had a call from a mom, very distressed, about her 12-year-old. He had taken the Beck Depression Scale. Beck was the founder of something called cognitive behavioral therapy. And she said that the 12-year-old son scored rather high on this depression scale and scared her. She said, we have a happy family. We have a stable family. I don't know where this is coming from. He's a 12-year-old boy. As an aside, he is part of a growing number of adolescents and teenagers who are talking of depression and discontent and anxiety, social struggles. And a large part of this is the access that they have now to social media and the internet. It's a large part. It's not all of it, but it's a large part of it. And she said in passing, this original caller about the 12-year-old, she said in passing, I don't know, I think maybe his phone has something to do with it. Well, I didn't even get a chance to ask, does he have unlimited access to a smartphone? Yeah, he did. And then I said something to the effect of, well, a lot of times, much more often than not, boys at that age, they come across pornography. Do you know anything about that? And she kind of implied, yeah. All right. So Megan said, the world lost its glimmer for me very early. Very understandable. Here's a little 10-year-old girl. Naturally zestful, naturally full of innocence, naturally energetic, naturally positive. Most of them are. God wires their bodies that way. The positivity of youth, it has to be taken from them. Megan said it was taken from her. She said, I had much more joy in my life prior to the exposure of what I was into all those years. Yeah, no doubt. And I guess that's Megan's message. It's also mine. I'm screaming alongside her. Please, delay. Every year that you delay, you buy another year of innocence. You buy another year of learning what you want to teach them and not what the culture wants to teach them and not what the craziness on the internet wants to teach them. Delay. Buy another year. put up with the pressure of the kids looking at you like you're the only Neanderthal in my whole school who doesn't let me have this. Woman named Jean Twenge, researcher in all this, and she likes to study cohorts. Cohorts are age groups. You know, the greatest generation is a cohort. It's an age group. The boomers, it's a cohort. It's an age group. She said from about 2012 on in her study, in her survey, she noticed that the kids were becoming more isolated. They were retreating. They're not spending as much time person to person with friends, not going places with friends. She said that was the year 2012 that 50% of kids now had a smartphone. Megan said this. She said, I became more reclusive. I became more isolated. I spent more time in my own little world and in the world that was presented to me through the internet and social media. She's screaming out loud to parents, learn from me. She's just another in a growing horde of kids who've been affected like this. Furthermore, I've had a number of calls, and of course in therapy I hear this, where wives will tell me one of the problems in their marriage, they can't get their husbands off their phone, off their internet. Guys will say, I can't get my wife off social media. It's interfering in our marriage. And this isn't something that started when they were 31. It started when they were 14. A warning. One lady on this program said, Dr. Ray, please tell the moms out there that if their kids are just getting immersed in this cyber world, tell them to think about their future wife. Now, qualification. Do all kids react like Megan? No, of course not. A lot of variance in how all of this affects kids. However, it's risky. You want to take that chance? It's risky. Learn from Megan. I'm going to do one more thing. On the other side of this hard break, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my own resistance to social media until I gave in and why I gave in and why I had resistance. Other notes that I make. Yeah, Megan was diagnosed ADHD. Did you hear that in her call? Maybe not. Maybe you're just tuning in. She's diagnosed ADHD. She didn't say anything about if that diagnosis still sits and fits right now. But she was diagnosed that. Well, I could kind of understand that. Can you imagine with that kind of video cocaine coming at you through your device and through your phone when you have to sit at a desk? Ew! And listen for a period of time? Ew! To a real person? Ew! Imagine what that does, especially to boys.
I need your information.
Yeah.
And your wonderful brain.
Got that new computer virus going around? You hear about this? Yeah. Office workers everywhere will now be forced to play solitaire with real cards. All right. Going into my third segment, commenting on 24-year-old Megan, who has woken up in her life and realized that she got stuck on the internet and all of its offerings at age 10 when she was gifted her first device and her parents didn't do anything about it. It came from somebody else. She talked about all the negative impacts it had on her personality, on her learning, on her love of life, on her innocence, and on her joy. Now, I just want to say this. When I was 8 years old, I fell down on my bike and I skinned my knee. And I'm going to show you a picture of it now. That was my recent post on Instagram. And the only reason I posted that is because when I was 8 years old, we didn't have social media, so I wanted you to know about it now. The woman I met many years ago who was involved with a infomercial group, she said, we want to present your infomercial, your parenting ideas and program as an infomercial. Well, by the time you just do the program. Okay, whatever I can do to help. It didn't go anywhere. Not really. Some sales, but not big. Maybe at that time she was a fallen away Catholic. She was raised Catholic, but she had left the faith. And one example of that was one of the things she said is she wanted to use it as a scripture line. And she told me, she said, yeah, we decided on the scripture line that give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach him to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. And I said, that's not a scripture line. Fast forward, say, 15, maybe 20 years. She contacts me. She had found out about the radio show. And she said, Ray, I'm back in the faith. And very much back into faith. Her faith meant the world to her. And she was a social media manager type. She knew an awful lot about marketing from her previous secular existence. She said, you got to be on Facebook. I said, nah, not for me. I'm not going to chew my bologna sandwich into the shape of an alligator and then show it on Facebook. Or this is what I did today. I was out trimming my shrubs. Look at the size of this bug. No, too self-centered. She said, Ray, if you can help people to hear some of the things you say about parenting or family life or life in general or faith, would you want to do that? And I go, yeah, I'd do that. She said, okay, then. So that's what my Facebook and Instagram is now. Every once in a while on Facebook, they say you have to post something personal. So, I'll post a picture of me holding my newest grandchild or something like that. Or a picture of me watching my wife as she paints the underhang on the house there as I'm sipping lemonade. I'll do that. But for the most part, my Facebook and now my Instagram, all of which is run by my son, is designed to help. And interestingly enough, it reaches the young people. My Instagram is predominantly, when you can tally the numbers. Most recent post I had, I couldn't believe this. It was a post about St. Peter. And it was a very, very potent post about how St. Peter was by far the apostle that Jesus spent the most time talking about, listing, alluding to, just relentlessly. And that post went to 500,000 viewers. And of those 500,000, about 60 to 70% of them were under age 40. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Because that's not the average age of radio listeners. The average age of radio listeners trends higher. So for me, I found out that if somebody manages that, I don't manage it. I don't post anything. I may make the reels. But if it's a way to reach, and I know all of these affiliates that we have, the great internets, the great networks, they know that. They realize that they're reaching out far beyond their radio signal. All over the place, all over the world. My son tells me that some of my posts are translated into Spanish, and one was translated multiple times into Japanese. So yeah, wherever it can go, I am just so grateful. That said, it echoes what Megan said. She said, I came back to the church through the internet. And I think that's one of the explanations why there's this surge in young people, especially young men, coming to the faith. Faithfully coming to the faith, embracing it strongly. I think a large part, they're having access to the logic, the reason, the evidence, the beauty of the faith of Christ and his church. A little bit of my own personal journey into the world of social media. Dr. Ray.
This Ave Maria program brought to you in part by the following nonprofit.
One of the greatest threats to your family isn't a disaster or a virus, but addiction. In nearly every family and every pew, someone is silently struggling. Beginning July 11th, Shalom World TV and the I Thirst Initiative present Unshackled, a powerful new series on the Catholic Church's response to the addiction crisis, bringing together leading voices to discuss real healing. Stream it free at shalomworld.org or on the Shalom World app today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. We know personally that when a loved one passes suddenly, we are relieved that a will was already in place. At mycatholicwill.com, a legal will is as simple as 15 minutes filling out information about your family. Thanks to our partnership with mycatholicwill.com, when you use the promo code AVE, A-V-E, your will is absolutely free. No hidden costs whatsoever. Visit mycatholicwill.com.
Light of the East, weekends on Ave Maria Radio.
I'm Father Thomas Loya. This week on Ave Maria.
Have you noticed that more young men are showing up in church these days and becoming more active? A number of these men are looking to the eastern lung of the church. What is it that is attracting them?
Now on Ave Maria Radio's newest FM stations, 105.5 FM in Southfield and 107.9 FM in Ann Arbor.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Do you feel as though life is flying past you? Are you desperate for a way to find moments of peace and quiet? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian prayer series, will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
Okay, I better get to it. Let's go to Mary from Minnesota. Her grandson reacts rather, how shall we say, negatively when upset. He's the tougher kid of the family.
Well, he's one of the most cuddly, sweet kids, but it's like when he gets upset, he loses control. And
what do they do when he gets that upset? When he throws a 2-year-old fit at age 7?
Not a lot, I guess.
See? Now, now, Mary, you see what you just did? You said maybe a little bit of the latter, and then you said, well, they don't do a lot, and I said permissive, and you skipped right over that one. Now, fortunately, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to allow that mistake on your part. I will allow it because I'm sensitive and nurturant and kind and understanding. So they don't do much when he blows and he hits and he kicks and he beats people up and he goes nutso on them. They don't do much.
Well, I mean, yeah, break it apart and, send him to his room or whatever. He has an older brother who's 8, who is just about my size. And, they can be wrestling, having fun. And as soon as he gets hurt or something, then it's like this switch is flipped and he just rages at him and, just and that's when I, because I do live with them. So I spend a lot of time.
So they send him to his room, right? They send him to Mary. They send him to his room, correct? Yeah. So that is the price of beating people up. You go to your room for a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
They think that's going to stop that? They actually think that's going to stop that?
No. Okay. Well, yeah, they probably think that.
Well, that has it.
I'm wondering.
Has it?
No.
Right.
I think some of it might be that sometimes his father reacts like that.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. There's nobody to send Dad to his room. There's nobody to send Dad his consequences. But this is a 7-year-old that they're raising. And so I would think they wouldn't want this 7-year-old to act like that. Now, if you say, well, what do you expect? Dad does it too. That's true. But you can still discipline a 7-year-old because even though dad doesn't have self-control, you want to teach self-control to the 7-year-old. It's not a reason to act that way because my feeling is dad is never going to stop acting that way if that's part of who he is and he doesn't think there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
But you're going to let the 7-year-old act that way. Here's the crux of it, Mary. I don't know your little grandson and I don't know the dynamics of the situation. I can only speak from what shrinks call a baseline prediction. And that is, if you got a little guy who is prone to lash out by his particular nature, then they have to do something about it that's much more impactful, if you will, and I don't mean swinging impactful. For example, I'll give you a small example. They could tell him very easily, if you do that, if you punch anybody, kick anybody, hurt anybody, for 3 days, you have lost all privileges. That's it. Everything. Sure. That means you don't get dessert. That means you can't go outside. That means you don't have your stuffed animals. That means you can't watch anything. You can color. You can pick your nose. You're going to go to bed early. If they would do that, if they would show him, if you do that, that this is heavy stuff here, son. You're 7. You're not 2. But they're not doing it. They're and you know, you didn't say this, Mary, but there's no doubt in my mind they're starting to think, what is wrong with him? Why is he like this? Right?
Well, it's kind of my thought.
well, they're not looking at themselves. They're not looking at themselves. You don't look at the kid who does this and then you say, what is wrong with him when we don't do much about it? Kids are going to do, they're going to do all kinds of nasty stuff depending upon their temperament if you let them. It's just that simple. It doesn't mean there's pathology there. It just means, oh, okay, well, I'll go sit in my room for half an hour. I'll go to bed early. That's certainly anything. That's nothing to stop me from punching my brother when I get emotionally upset. You know, I was wondering if somebody actually, you know how when they do podcasts and things, they oftentimes have the words printed out. If somebody podcasted this, Andrew, how would you spell? I don't know quite how to spell that. As SPPPPPPSP. I don't know. Anyway, a couple of things. I should have asked this. Maybe I did. Maybe Andrew edited it out because the call went on longer. Does he do this at school? And I bet you, they're going to say, not at all. He's wonderful there. Or if he does, it's not meltdown. It's more of a testing of the limits. I get a lot of folks in my office who come in because they think something's wrong with their kid because he's doing stuff like this at any age. As we talk, we find out that their response to it has been either inconsistent or harsh or certainly not enough to be deterrent or to teach. But they think, as I'm sure Mary's, whether it's her daughter or son, they think we're disciplining. We send him to his room. So obviously, if we're disciplining, something must be wrong with him because it's not working. So it's got to be him. No. The other problem, too, is I got to wonder, when he's in the middle of a meltdown fit and they say go to your room, he's not going to go. They're going to have to wait until he calms down because they can't stop it. So the lesson here on this call, and I had to shorten this, the lesson is far more often when kids look pathological in their response, in their nastiness, their eruption level, their screaming, whatever it is, far more often it is because they're not being consistently taught, you can't do this. There's going to be a price tag. Dr. Ray, aren't you supposed to love kids? Of course you love them. I don't doubt that mom and dad love this little 7-year-old boy, but when he erupts, they got to hold him accountable. The world does. The difference is they can hold him accountable because they love him. The world's going to hold him accountable just to nail him. Much more often than not, it is because the parent is underestimating what they need to do, how consistently and how firmly. Much more often. But sadly, too often we look at the kid and say, something's wrong. We gotta put letters on him. Gotta diagnose him ODD. We gotta find out something here that's out of whack psychologically, instead of looking at ourselves and saying, okie dokie. What is it here? I just wish I knew what the school said, because I'll give you 5-1 odds he doesn't do this at school. You bet a buck, I'll return you 5. Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. Thanks, Andrew Kruchek, for all you do there to edit those calls. And thanks to all of you for listening as you have, however amount you have. Walk with God, and don't throw any temper fits with him. He runs the universe, you know.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.